So good day everyone, my name is Kyla Sacramento, your teacher for today. So our topic for today is about surrealism. I will flash picture and jumbled words. Pero ganito naman ang setup natin, kaya ako na lang din ang magsasagot. I will just give you an activity after our discussion. So first picture is, this is the persistence of memory. So persistence of memory is a 1931 painting by artist Salvador Dali and one of the most recognizable works of surrealism. First shown at the Julian Levy Gallery in 1932, since 1934 the painting has been in the collection of the Museum of Modern Art in New York City, which received it from anonymous donor. It widely recognized and frequently referred in popular culture and sometimes referred by more descriptive titles such as melting clocks, the soft watches, or melting watches. So this is the persistence of memory. So next picture, we have the Golconda by Rene Magritte. So Golconda depicts a scene of nearly identical men dressed in dark overcoats and bowler hats, who seem to be drops of heavy rain against a backdrop of building and a blue sky. The men are spaced in hexagonal grids facing the viewpoint and receding back in grids layers. Magritte himself lived in a similar suburban environment and dressed in similar fashion. The bowler hat was a common feature of much of his work and appears in the painting like the Son of Man. So nakikita nyo naman sa picture, meron siyang yung mga raindrops dyan na akala nating raindrops ay mga painting ng lalaki. So, our next picture is about the two Fridas. So, the two Fridas is painted by Frida Kahlo. This painting was completely shortly after her divorce with his husband. This portrait shows Frida's two different personalities. One is traditional Frida in the Juana costume with a broken heart, sitting next to an independent, modern-dressed Frida. In Frida's diary, she wrote about this painting and said it is originated from her memory of an imaginary childhood friend. Later, she admitted it expressed her desperation and loneliness with the separation from his husband, Diego. In this painting, the two Fridas are holding hands. They both have visible hearts, and the heart of the traditional Frida is cut and torn open. The main artery, which comes from the torn heart down to the right hand of the traditional Frida, is cut off by the surgical pinners held in the lap of traditional Frida. The blood keeps dripping on her white dress, and she is in danger of bleeding to death. The stormy sky filled with agitated clouds may reflect Frida's inner turmoil. So, next is the double dream of spring. So, the double dream of spring includes two separate scenes. On the left-hand side of the painting, there is statue, as seen from behind. On the right hand of the scene is a view from above, looking down into a landscape. Above the landscape hovers the large red head of Taylor's dummy, floating above the view like a hot air balloon. The scene is cut in half by a large wooden beam, at the bottom of which sits a drawing of a blueprint of an interior scene. The large dummy head is a recurring element in many de Chirico's painting. So, alam kong hindi nyo pa alam ang mga painting na ito, ang mga surrealism painting na ito. So, I will flash a video clip and observe kung ano nasa laman ng video clip. And after that, I will ask questions about sa video clip na aking i-flash.
You've probably heard of Salvador Dali, Rene Magritte, or Frida Kahlo. These surrealist artists created many amazing artworks. But do you know about the philosophy behind the movement? What does Freud have to do with surrealism? Why did Dali show us his dreams and nightmares? And why did Marguerite paint an image of raining men? Let's find out. Surrealism started as a movement in Paris in 1924, heavily inspired by the father of psychoanalysis.
This is Dr. Sigmund Freud.
A group of young Frenchmen centered around André Breton explored new ways of creating art. By practicing automatic writing and drawing, they wanted to reach the unconscious parts of the mind and reveal one's true nature. Some even used drugs and practiced hypnosis in order to discover the hidden parts of the human psyche. Breton, who himself was a medical student, was always interested in exploring mental states and described Freud as the human explorer. Obsessed with Freud's theoretical ideas, Breton used them to establish the philosophy of Surrealism. In his Surrealist Manifesto, Breton defined Surrealism as a pure psychic automatism, through which artists expressed their thoughts with no control of the mind.
Surrealists use Freud's theory of dreams as inspiration. For Freud, dreams represented the direct expression of the unconscious. They showed our true desires, thoughts, and fears.
In Surrealist dream paintings like Dali's Dream, caused by the flight of a bee, we see the painter's wife, Gala, sleeping on a rock, surrounded by a rifle, fish, elephant, pomegranate, and two tigers. This type of painting showed an irrational mix of objects that had symbolic meanings, and more often than not, sexual connotations. This mix of contrary elements is also seen in paintings of René Magritte. In his work Golconda, Magritte painted more than 100 figures of identical men falling from the sky like raindrops. All men were painted realistically, but Magritte's surreal setup of bodies floating in the air looks like something you can only see in dreams. Freudian dreamscape is present in Giorgio de Chirico's metaphysical paintings too. The dreamlike atmosphere of the empty piazzas, the sexual symbols seen in towers and arcades, and the mixing of contradictory elements, it's everything surrealists loved.
But there's a big difference between Freud and the Surrealists. Freud's theories were primarily meant to help people feel better, and Surrealists didn't care much about the therapeutic side of psychoanalysis. They just wanted to explore its creative potential.
So when Breton invited Freud to write an introduction for an anthology of dreams he put together, the famous psychoanalyst refused. In 1921, Breton decided to go to Vienna and meet Freud, but left feeling very disappointed because the Austrian psychoanalyst showed little interest in artistic adaptations of his theories. Breton even bitterly described Freud as an old man without elegance. You may be asking yourself, what did Freud think of the Surrealists? Well, he made this point quite clear in a letter sent to Breton in 1932. Freud wrote, I am not able to clarify for myself what Surrealism is and what it wants. Perhaps I am not destined to understand it, I who am so distant from art. So we get it. Freud was a bit skeptical about Surrealism, but Surrealists still wanted to explore the human psyche and thought of Surrealism as a philosophy of the mind. They wanted to give psychoanalytic theories a poetic expression through art. Maybe Surrealists didn't really care for the health benefits of Freud's ideas, but they still made many fascinating artworks we enjoy today. And let's not forget that enjoying art is also a benefit for the mind.
So here are the guide questions that you can answer on your paper and give it to me by January 17. So number 1, what did you observe in the video? Number 2, who are the surrealist artists in the video? Number 3, what are the surrealism art in the video? Number 4, surrealism started as a movement in Paris in what year? And number 5, who is the father of psychoanalysis? So, yung mga questions, you can answer it on your paper and give it to me on our face-to-face classes. So, I have an activity here. It says, group yourselves into 5, then create a surrealism art and explain it why. So, itong activity na to, you can do it on our face-to-face classes. So, here are the rubrics. Developing skills, 5 points. Produce high quality and creative work, 4 points. Produce quality work, and 1 point. Produce poor quality work. So, and ang rubrics natin, you can bring your art materials on our face-to-face classes. And that is the rubric. So, my assignment kayo is, your assignment is do an advanced reading on your next topic, which is abstract realism. That's all, and thank you, class.